So I don't know if you heard, there was the George Clooney fundraiser for Hillary Clinton in Los Angeles, and it was in the millionaire neighborhood. And then there was a protest fundraiser held on the same street by the heir to the 99-cent store fortune. So he's Bernie. He's on the side of Bernie. And so he thought it would be a good idea to have a fundraiser at the same time. And they charged $27 a plate instead of $300,000 a plate or whatever they were charging. It was a lot of money. They were charging a lot of money. And to go to that. So as Hillary Clinton's motorcade went by, what you'll see here is you'll see them. They threw money. See, they're throwing dollar bills at an SUV. That one of them, we're not sure which one. There's a whole motorcade of big, expensive gas guzzlers. So we don't know which one was actually carrying the Secretary of State, former senator from New York, and current frontrunner for the Democratic nomination, one of the most powerful people in the world, one of the richest people in the country, certainly, worth hundreds of millions of dollars now, her and Bill. That's the setting for this, okay? So some people were saying that throwing dollar bills at an SUV containing one of the most powerful politicians in the world is actually, the point they were doing that was because they're against money in politics, and they're against that she's in bed with all these big corporations, firms, big pharma, defense contractors, oil company, and she takes money from them. And so that's what they're throwing money at her about. That's what that's about. Now, some people are saying that because Hillary Clinton is a woman, that it's sexist to point this out. Or not to point this out, but it's sexist to throw money at the SUV that may or may not contain her as it goes by. That is sexist, to throw dollars at an SUV in a symbol of politics and money. That's what some people are saying. Chris Hayes brings on an editor from New York Magazine. He asked her that very question about that. This is what he says.
These Sanders protesters, they throw money at this motorcade of Secretary of State Clinton as it sort of goes to a fundraiser.
Again, now he's using the term, I don't know, at another video I pointed out, he uses the qualifier sort of. He said that Bernie Sanders was sort of breaking records for fundraising, sort of. And now he's saying that Hillary Clinton's motorcade was sort of on its way to a fundraiser. Why are you first of all, why do you put that modifier in there, sort of? It's not sort of. They're on their way. That's the whole point of this. They're on their way to a fundraiser, not sort of. That's the whole point of this. That the motorcade's sort of on its way to a fundraiser. That's just a weird tick that he just revealed there. I think you could say I'm reading a lot into that, and maybe I am, but I don't think so, which is why I'm saying this, that I think that that's a weird way to say it. They're sort of on the way. It's like, it makes me uncomfortable to say what's actually happening. They're sort of on the way? That's just weird. That's weird for a guy who's, got a great education and is a top-notch writer to put that qualifier in front of a thing that's he's trying to describe actually happening.
These Sanders protesters, they throw money at this motorcade of Secretary of State Clinton as it sort of goes to a fundraiser. A lot of very...
It didn't sort of. It didn't sort of. It really went. And so here's the answer.
Some things that are complex and nuanced about this. So you can have a legitimate economic critique, and I think there's been a legitimate economic critique made of the way that money in politics is working, the way that money in the presidential campaign is working. Bernie Sanders and his campaign and his supporters are making a very legitimate critique. And, but sometimes the expressions of what is a legitimate critique can merge with other kinds of expressions. And I think that the symbolism of throwing dollar bills at a woman has resonance outside or alongside with the economic critique. And throwing dollar bills at a woman means something, even if it simultaneously means something real. It also means something misogynist. And that both things can be simultaneously true.
Okay, so now I'm going to ask for the opinion on that from a woman, a minority, a Hispanic.
Okay, well, first off, the first time I saw that, I didn't think anything of it. I initially just had the impression of, oh, these people are protesting and throwing money at an expensive vehicle that has a politician inside of it. And that was my initial reaction. And when I saw that these people were proposing that it also is misogynistic, I don't get it. Initially, I think that's digging real deep. Or not deep enough? I don't know. I don't feel like it is misogynistic. I don't think that's what it's doing at all. I don't think it's doing two things at once. I think it's merely exposing that somebody feels that Hillary Clinton is bought and sold by money. And so it was a metaphor. It was a symbolic gesture. That's how I viewed it.
You don't think it was misogynist? She just
No.
said it was.
I know she said it was. I didn't get that impression the first time I saw it. That was, to me, it's a politician. I don't see a woman in that car. I see politicians moving to an event.
Okay. So there you go. I got to tell you, that has got to be the craziest. Wow. This has got to be some of the. And you got mainstream reporters repeating that, hey, maybe that's sexist. They threw dollar bills at an SUV, at a motorcade as it drove by. What the. God damn it. You know what that does? That devalues. There is real misogyny in the world. Look at Donald Trump. There's real misogyny in the world, okay?
Yes.
And what this does, when you call everything in the world misogyny, you dilute when it really happens. So now, when Donald Trump goes, oh, they're too, so this is why when you go, oh, they're too politically correct. That's why they can say stuff like this, because of stuff like this. When you call stuff like this misogyny, now they go, well, it must not be that bad of a term because that's nothing. So misogyny must not be that bad. So when they call Donald Trump a misogynist, well, they call everything misogyny. Do you see how you're hurting your own cause when you call stuff like throwing money at a bought politician's SUV motorcade on their way to a $300,000 a plate dinner? They're throwing money at them. Do you see how calling that misogyny actually is irresponsible because it demeans what it means to actually recognize real misogyny? There is a real thing in the world called sexism and misogyny. That ain't it. And calling that misogyny